Welcome back to Real Takes, where we are all movie love all the time. I'm Ann Stott, and tonight I want to start by talking about a fundraiser for a friend of mine, actually, in terms of the cause that I want to highlight and hope that some people will choose to support. My friend Michelle Axelson owns a store here in Provincetown called Women Crafts. It's one of only 13 surviving feminist bookstores in the country, and right now she has the opportunity to buy the physical space that the bookstore is in. She owns the bookstore but has been paying rent, and the owners are selling the space, and if she doesn't buy it, the store will probably go out of business. And so she is raising money to continue being in business. Her campaign is going really well, but she has to get over the $200,000 mark by August 1st of 2022. But the fundraiser will be up and going for a few more months through October. And obviously, the more money she raises, the more solvent her business will be, the more products she can carry, the more books she can keep in stock. She's a huge, important community organizing point in Provincetown and an important cultural figure, and Women Crafts is a great space for intersectional feminism and the sharing of ideas, and a safe haven for a lot of people. So I will link below to the GoFundMe campaign, and if you can, please support Women Crafts in buying their physical space and ensuring their future. Tonight, we are shining all the movie love on Mati Diop's 2019 feature film debut, Atlantique, which was called Atlantique. Mati Diop is a French-Senegalese film director and actress. She's also the daughter of Wherein Diop, who is an internationally renowned musician, and she's the niece of Jibril, I'm going to get this wrong, hold on. Yes, Jibril Diop Mambeti, who is an important Senegalese director. He made Tuki Buki, which was an important Senegalese film from the 70s, and a handful of other movies. So she actually began her career in a Claire Denis film called 35 Shots of Rum, which is incredible, about a father and daughter kind of making their way in the world. And I'll let you know where you can see that in the comments below. But then she started directing films. She made a documentary, and she made a short film, Atlantique, 10 years before the feature film, and then decided that she wanted to more deeply explore the issues that she was getting into in the film. So Atlantique focuses on Souleymane, who is a Senegalese young man working in Dakar, and he has been helping to build a futuristic new building in Dakar, and he and his co-workers have not been paid for 3 months. And so they decide to do something that many young Senegalese, mostly men, have done over the last 20 years, but particularly in the early 2000s, which is get on a boat and try to make it to Spain and migrate to Europe. But this decision is harder for Souleymane because he is in love with Ada, and Ada is in love with him, but her parents have arranged for her to marry Omar. So this triangle is the sort of core structure of the story, but really Mati Diop wanted to tell a more human story about the migration crisis of Senegal, but she wanted to root the story in people staying in Senegal. She said, obviously, she didn't want to write a story about taking the boat and being on the boat. She wanted to write a story about Senegal, but that addresses the migration issue. So she decided to focus on the women who were left behind when, whole generations of men, huge percentage of generations of men get on boats and try to make it to Spain, and obviously many of them die in the journey. So jumping in here like I do, Mati Diop said that, one of the many reasons she wanted to tell this story is that she felt like as these waves of Senegalese migration into Europe were happening in the early 2000s, that so much of the reporting about it in Europe was very cold and sort of all about the economics of it and the statistics of it, and she wanted to tell a more human story about this migration experience, but also, even though she was living primarily in France and raised primarily in France, she has deep connection to Senegal, being half Senegalese, and so she wanted to tell a story about the people who remained behind, because the European coverage was everyone's fleeing Senegal, but the truth is most of the people in Senegal were continuing to live and work in Senegal and were committed to staying in Senegal and had their lives and their culture there, and that gets completely lost in these moments. And so she wanted to bring that to life. And even though I started the plot description by saying the story focuses on Suleiman, really the story is Ada's story, and her coming of age through this experience of someone she loves leaving and having to face this decision about this marriage that her parents have arranged for her. So those were two of Mati Diop's motivations in telling this story that, has a different point of view about these waves of migration than what is usually reported on. The Atlantic is a huge character in the film. The shots of the ocean are gorgeous. I mean, the whole film is beautifully shot, but the sense of the power of the ocean, the influence of the ocean. And actually, I was really glad to learn this today. I had never understood why, the French title is Atlantique, which is singular, but the English title is Atlantics, which is plural, obviously. And Mati Diop chose that very consciously because she wanted to have the title represent the many layers of meaning that the Atlantic has for African people, that it's a spiritual force, but it's also a political force, and it is a haunted ocean for Black people of the world, and holds, power from many different angles, and she wanted the title to reflect that, which is why it's Atlantiques. So she wanted to write a story sort of rooted in Senegalese culture that dispels stereotypes about Senegalese culture, and that also acknowledges this migration experience that's been happening. And the movie becomes, a political exploration, an exploration of coming of age and love, and also it becomes a mystical exploration. There's a spiritual, mystical element to the film with there's a ghostly element to the film, and I don't want to say too much about it because we don't do spoilers here, but I will say that it's not zombie-like or it's hard to start talking about ghosts without calling up sort of American horror films, but it doesn't live in that realm at all. It's a mystical reclaiming and repossessing. And I'm going to cough now. I'm almost over my cold, but not quite. This film is so special, Atlantics. It's a really special film. It won the Grand Jury Prize at Cannes, and it was actually the first film directed by a Black woman to be entered into competition in Cannes. And I have to say that when I say these facts and statistics sometimes about these firsts, I'm at once excited for Mati Diop that she is that person, and I'm also just horrified that it wasn't until 2019 that a Black woman directed a film that was in competition at Cannes. We just have to smash this and do better and make more change. But it's got a really unique vision that she has said is sort of, all right. I wasn't very clear there. She was asked in another interview that I read, like what advice she would give to first-time filmmakers. And she said this thing, she said, make sure that you're telling a story that only you can tell. And she said that wasn't necessarily about the thing the story's about. Like, obviously many people could tell a story about Senegalese migration, right? But the point of view you have on the story, or the way you want to tell the story, she said, make sure it's uniquely your own. When you tell the story, and that's very important for first-time filmmakers, which I really liked. And this film feels unique and like a perspective on something that comes from a deeply personal place, which is highlighted by this quote I'm about to read from an interview she did with Roger Ebert. So, you know, the interviewer asked her about, does she feel sort of caught between two worlds? And she said, it's not really that binary. She said, it's a more fragmented and hybrid landscape. It's not French or African. It's more Western versus the rest of the world. It's hard to talk about as a subject in general because it's quite complex, but I think that the film is really a response to the very fragmented and kaleidoscopic relationship I have to the diversity of my influences, and also the need not to be defined or confined into any category, both aesthetically, cinematographically, or in terms of gender and race. The film is really an invitation to get rid of any categories, and it really breaks a lot of molds. As a mixed girl, I'm not white and I'm Black. I'm a mix of so many different cultures. I constantly experience the hybridizing of my own complex and mobile identity, which so many people experience. Most people do, actually. And so I really liked that, and I feel like she achieved that in this film, like a sense of it being so much more than its parts and embodying so many different layers. And in another place in the interview, she talks about wanting to decolonize Senegal, decolonize the language of cinema, and sort of a parallel between her desires in the storytelling and her desires in the sort of as an artist making work. So just so much here to love and appreciate in Mati Diop's Atlantique. I hope you watch it and let me know what you think about it in the comments, and I will see you next Wednesday.
Thanks for watching Real Takes. Hit the subscribe button below so the algorithms will tell you when new episodes are out. And if you want to support Real Takes, please visit my Patreon page where you can join at any tier from $2 to $100 per thing I make. The $15 tier is specifically about supporting Real Takes, and you'll get behind the scenes information and be thanked in future videos. See you next Wednesday.